Alright, welcome back to another Zen talk. In this video, I'll be talking about the 4 statements of Zen. The 4 statements of Zen originate from a poem written by Yan Wu in the 11th century. These particular statements have become a motto in a lot of the Zen centers, but it's also kind of become the basis of the transmission that a lot of Zen centers will talk about and resides within the Zen communities. So they will call it the Zen transmission or the lineage transmission. And this is kind of what we're talking about. I'm going to go with the D.T. Suzuki translation. He was one of the early pioneers in Zen as it came to the West. And his translation is the one that is the most used, and you will see it most of the time. So it is basically says a special transmission outside of the scriptures. No dependence on words or letters. Directly pointing to the soul of man. Seeing into one's nature and attainment of Buddhahood. Another translation can go, it's similar, but it's a little bit different. A special transmission outside of the doctrines, not to establish language, directly pointing to the mind, seeing into one's nature and attain the Buddhahood. And that's by a academic Yongji. So let's go through each line of the statement to kind of unpack it, because you kind of can agree with me that these are rather cryptic, and we probably need to look at this a little bit deeper as into what is this getting at? What is why did Yan Wu write this? What is the point of this? So let's go through the first line of the statement. A special transmission outside of scriptures. And I think the best way would be to go with the words of Sokian, one of the early pioneers of American Zen. He was also the teacher of Alan Watts. So he says, you think that your soul is your own soul, different from my soul, and that God created each of you individually. We do not think so. We think that all existence is soul, an ocean of soul, and that we are the waves. This is Buddha's basic concept of the universe. We get a really different take on soul, not something as individual. So we see that the soul is something universal, something vast and beyond, and that what we think of ourselves as the soul, that what he calls the waves, maybe an echo, maybe a reflection. We'll get to that here in the second stance. So the second stance is no dependence on words and letters. So we'll go again with Sokian. Once in a long while, man realizes Buddha nature within himself. Then suddenly he realizes that his hand is the hand of Buddha, the lotus hand. He realizes that he himself is Buddha, and that there is no other Buddha in the world. So what is being said here is that this knowing, this realization within oneself, does not come from a book, or from words, or from speech, or from letters, which would be characters, or from another person, or anything like that. This is something that one comes to realize within themselves, something that has always been there, something that is eternal, something that was there before we were born and will be and is there after you pass on. So this is the eternalness. All right, the third part of the stanza goes, directly pointing to the soul of man. Now, Why does D.T. Suzuki use the word soul? A lot of people will quickly chime up and say, "Excuse me, sir, there is no soul in Buddhism." That is not true. So I will explain to you what D.T. Suzuki is getting at here. This next part is from the book Ideas and Influences of D.T. Suzuki, and it says, "This soul does not refer to that of an individual person, but to something ontological and all-encompassing. It is said to have two aspects, suchness and birth and death, being samsara, and hence it spans both of the oneness of all things and their separate individual existence, that is, their unity and their plurality, at the level of birth and death. The texts indicate that the soul emerges from the soul called Tathagata Garbha womb." Now this is really deep because it talks about the soul as basically the everything. But it also talks about the soul that we also see as the individual, the samsaric soul. So we have this sort of duality that anybody who reads Buddhism and Zen gets into, is this duality. And we're not talking about left and right, light and dark, but kind of what we're talking about is the eternalness, the eternity, the immortality versus the mortal. So we're talking about the suchness, which is the everything, that's the, what was, what is now, and what is to be. And which is called birth and death, samsara, but also then the immortal, that which is not born, which does not die. So that is the duality that we as Buddhists speak to. And this where we're at, this womb, in where we exist, but we also are eternal, all within the same breath. That's the Tathagata Garbha, and that is what the Mahayana view brings us to understand that we are in this womb of becoming. And this is why in Zen and within Mahayana, there's always this reference to the potentiality of Buddhahood. So we are always becoming Buddha, always becoming, within the Tathagata. This is what is meant by directly pointing to the soul of man, is pointing to the eternal, the deathlessness, the unborn, which is in all of us, and then within all things as well. You will see it, which is they call the suchness. And the last part of the stanza is seeing into one's nature and the attainment of Buddhahood. This last part is referring to the Dharmadhatu, meaning the realm of ultimate reality. And this is the realm of Buddha. This is the realm of Buddhahood, the being Buddha. This is when one is in the seat of the Dharmadhatu, one is then speaking the Dharma. And then one is being Buddha. This is where the Buddhists go. And this is what is the point of Buddhism, is to be in the Dharmadhatu, or to become the Dharmadhatu. So this is not a heaven. This is not a place you go to when you die. This is what you achieve in the here and now. And this is what practice is all about, is being Buddha. Now, a lot of people, it is hard to get your head around, because we were brought up in a different religious paradigm. We were brought up, in believing to pray to a god, or pray to a deity, and if we're observant and follow the rules and do what the priests say, we will go to a heaven, that there's a reward in an afterlife. But yet the Buddhist concept is that of awakening to the reality within now, within this realm, within this womb, within this existence, and to become enlightened, to become Buddha now. This is a whole different thing, and it becomes quite the mind wreck for a lot of Westerners who, because we were conditioned, we were brought up in a whole different model, a whole different religion, a whole different way of seeing things. And it's hard. Most people, this is almost like, you know, saying, okay, I'm going to take a vehicle that was built one way and then transform it into a whole different vehicle. It's a major feat. It takes an incredible amount of deconstructing the conditioning and brainwashing that has been put upon us through, you know, through our families, through our churches, through our culture, through our media, just through the society that we live in. And it is hard. This is not one that you can just snap your fingers and say, oh, I can just lay it down just like that, because I have never seen it. Even I struggle with laying down the brainwashing and the conditioning. It comes at you in the darndest ways, and then it's like a dog, you know, yapping at your heels. You do anything and everything to try to put that down, and the dog is still there. It is something that one tries very hard to overcome one's culture. So, in conclusion, the four statements of Yan Wu have been used as the Zen motto, and also as the basis of the Zen transmission of mind, in where we know that no mind is actually being transmitted, according to D.T. Suzuki. It's also kind of just sort of giving you the secret to all the koans and to the answer that the Zen teacher is looking for when they know that you have been transmitted, because there is nothing being transmitted. You're not getting anything that you didn't already have. You're just pushing through the veil of ignorance and delusion and the small self, as they would call it, that which only sees the I in the suchness, not the suchness itself. And then one realizes that you are in your own soul, that this world, this existence, and samsara is your soul, and that this is the eternity. Then you start to realize what's really going on, and what Zen is really getting into, and what the Buddha nature is all about. It's, like I said, it's a heck of a mind wreck. It's something that not even people in the Asian cultures fully can grasp onto this. I've talked to a lot of Japanese and Chinese and people that were, you know, born and raised in Asian cultures, and they even tell me that it's a mind wreck. This is not something that even within Asian culture is really, really kind of gotten, because, you know, a lot of Asian culture is steeped into Pure Land Buddhism, which, you know, you pray to Amitabha, and then you go to Amitabha heaven, and where you learn the Dharma. So this behave and reward systems permeate all human cultures, and these then we're told, oh well, just do it the easy way and obey and be observant, do your prayers, and, you know, be good to the priests and the monks, and you'll go to Amitabha heaven, where then you'll figure out what this whole Zen thing is about. But that's kind of not what Zen is about. Zen is awakening the here and now. We are in the Pure Land. We are in the Amitabha heaven. We just don't know it. All right, well, thank you for sticking along this far. I'm trying to keep these videos a lot shorter. People are not watching past the 4-minute mark, and if you made it this far, congratulations. You have an attention span longer than a guppy, and we'll see you on the next talk.